Show you my cucumbers and squash before I go out to Dad's house to take a look at things in the greenhouse. We'll see if the things at the greenhouse are about the same or maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller. Let's find out. Out at the greenhouse checking on the plants. We've had some cooler weather here for May. It's been in the 40s, 50s. Just want to check on everything. Looks like everything's coming along pretty nice. We got our little space heater on to keep things warm. It's about 65 degrees in here. The lettuce is really taking off along with the Swiss chard. Really need to get, I could probably start harvesting this lettuce honestly, rather than putting it out into the field. Peppers are doing well. The eggplant's doing well. Our late blooming tomatoes, our late tomatoes that are started late, they seem to be doing fine. Onions are pretty thick. We got more tomatoes. The ones that survived are looking really healthy. Everything's nice and green. And we're doing just a little kind of comparison between what is in the greenhouse and what is in the grow room at home. And just to give you an idea, maybe the difference like natural sunlight and things makes. Here's my cucumbers and squash. Now I've got 2 other trays at home just like this, and they're not near this big, especially the squash, the blue Hubbards. I mean, that's pretty amazing. And that just goes to show you the power of the sun compared to grow lights. At least the fluorescent grow lights that I have at the house. Now here's an interesting tomato back here. Everything else is really green. This one is a little different. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is that kind of blueberries and cream or whatever, that variety from Baker Creek. Our box peppers are doing really well. We got another tray of Swiss chard. That's ready to go out in the garden. Actually, we could harvest that as well. My dad went out and got me some more sweet potato slips from the little farm store in town. Got them in a bucket with some garden soil, and this doesn't seem to be doing too well, but the rest of them are doing okay. It's raining outside right now, so I'm just kind of sprinkling, but we'll head on down to the garden and check that out too. Before we do so, I did a quick fix on this weather stripping. I added some Gorilla Glue at the top because this kept sliding down like 6 inches, and it would be hanging at the bottom and dragging every time I opened the door. So I added a little bit of Gorilla Glue to secure this in place, and now we don't have any issues. Went down to the garden here. The rain and the cooler temps have helped the brassicas that I do have planted out here, like our kale and our cabbage, our broccoli, even the lettuce. We've got winter rye that's planted all over the place. Basically where our rows are that we intend to plant crops, or we have planted stuff. And the whole idea is to build the soil and keep the microbiology in the soil going, so that ultimately we don't have to feed the plants as much, we don't have to water the plants as much. I guess it's kind of a variant of, there's kind of a catchphrase going around, regenerative agriculture. And kind of the idea again is to get the biology right in the soil, and that kind of fixes the root issues then going forward that would normally affect crops and require you to be dependent on chemical fertilizers and pesticides and stuff like that. More kind of developed systems of that involve like livestock and rotating things, as far as the different cover croppings, doing companion planting, things of that nature. Because I guess what they've, just an initial study of it is the more diversified, the more biodiverse your piece of property is, the healthier the soil is going to be, because the plants ultimately control the microbiology in the soil. So the way to build that is add an organic matter that has the right microbiology, that's healthy, healthy compost, and then putting different plants in there that are going to, like cover crops, that are going to attract the mycorrhizal fungi and the good bacteria and all that, and then over time ends up being a lot more sustainable. So we're kind of experimenting with that. Last year I tilled all this up. I did kind of a hybrid mitt lighter method where I was using the micro minerals and fertilizer mix, and I've still got that as kind of a backup. But what I wanted to try this year was actually using the winter rye, build the soil, sequester carbon, kind of get things ready to go, so that by planting into it, the plants could tap into that network and be a lot healthier. So again, the brassicas are starting to take root. They had a little bit of a rough start, but they're starting to pull out, and you can kind of see them in the cover crop here. Some of them aren't doing so well, and part of that is the plants initially weren't very healthy, to be honest, when we planted them in the ground. Part of that was the learning curve on the greenhouse and just not having things set up, and so they were subject to a little bit more of the extremes, as far as the temperature and not being properly watered and things like that. My dad's retired. He takes care of everything out here, and he's doing a great job helping me out a lot. But initially, with the greenhouse, kind of learning that, we didn't have these plants in their own containers set up to bottom water, so it was dependent on him coming out and making sure that the trays are watered, and it was hard to judge at times, or whatnot. They just weren't getting the consistent water and nutrients that they needed. They needed a little bit more nutrients than what I originally set them up with. So now to fix that going forward, the stuff that is in there, most of it is either in really deep, deeper trays. It's also set up to be bottom watered, most of it, if it's not in deeper trays. And so I'm also putting a weekly feed of organic fertilizer on there, so that's really helped too. Kind of give the plants a good start, so that they've got healthy roots and stuff, so that when they are planted into the growing areas, they'll have a greater success, or a chance of success, surviving. Got our lettuce here, and it's been a little slower to develop. I think part of that is it could be the rise outpacing the lettuce for sure. I mean, it's still doing okay. It's healthy. We've also got peas, and they'll be fine. They grow pretty quick. So even though there's some winter rye standing around it, they'll outpace that and grow in this. I've got the peas again planted on the north side of the trellis, so that since the sun tracks kind of southwest over here, they're going to grow into the trellis. And then finally the onions are in these 2 rows here, and they're kind of hiding. They're disguised, but here they are. I mean, they're doing well. They're healthy. But the trick will be making sure we don't cut them down when we go to trim this winter rye. So anyway, that's kind of a little garden update. Things are going really well. Looking forward to this year. It's going to be interesting to see the effects of this winter rye as far as watering and feeding the plants as we go into the growing season. So guess that's it for now. Until next time, happy gardening. Bye.